Thank you. My name is John Spangle. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I've been making a series of videos, different topics, and express God in the Bible. Issues that I don't think are being taught as much today as they should be. I'm a disabled veteran and I'm having health issues. I'm trying to get to the point where I can go back to attend church. I almost did it today, but didn't quite make it there. So it gives me an opportunity just to talk about God and what I believe, and an opportunity to work with people and give them a little bit of understanding, and hopefully give them the want to study on their own. Never do I say in these videos that I'm 100% correct. A lot of times in these videos, they're not popular because I don't go what the mainstream beliefs are taught in churches. I'm not a scholar. I do a lot of reading. Since I'm not able to get out and do things for the last 3 years, I'm a cancer survivor, so I've been able to just study more, and that's what I love to do, study. And it's the reason I make these videos, just to talk about things that are in my mind and explain things. But we have an issue. We're within like 13 months of election here in America, and everybody's impeached Donald Trump and all that. And I wanted to, excuse me, I'm talking about a video, of course. I wanted to explain where America is in Bible prophecy. The Bible is proven. It's other videos I've talked about. It's proven 100% accurate through archaeology, through science, and it means. A lot of times people don't realize when Jesus Christ died on the cross, there was a lot of documented proof of his death and resurrection. A lot of witnesses. After the death of Christ, over 500 people was recorded in the Bible coming back to life that had died previously to witness about Christ. And many people documented this happening. A lot of times this isn't told out to people because, well, this world is run by Satan now, and he's a great deceiver and leader of lies. But in order to explain about America and the position of America in end times, that I believe that we are living in the end times, I believe the next major prophetic event that will take place will be the rapture. We don't know what day, what hour. A lot of people try to do that. I know 2 or 3 years ago I was dealing with my cancer. Me and my wife, we were talking about it because I was doing my chemotherapy after my surgery and the radiation. And we saw the, as they call the Revelation 12 sign in the sky, where it's the stars lined up. You had over 9 stars lined up, showing the woman giving birth, and then the dragon looking after, ready for the baby to be devoured, and the baby being taken away safely. So a lot of people thought, well, that's the year where the rapture is going to happen. It's the rapture sign of the end times, yes, but it was not meaning, the time is near. It's for the body of Christ to know. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, to be blunt about it, a lot of ignorant people that study and go to church and don't know, because a lot of times we get in habit, we're people of habit, and we get in the habit of going to church and listen to a preacher up on pulpit say this and that and read out of the Bible, and we may go once or twice on Sunday, then maybe middle of the week get involved in some choir singing. And I'm not saying that's bad, that's good, but a lot of people will take that for granted and not study on their own. And I believe majority of people will be like that. They don't study. I'm not saying everybody's like that, and that's what I try to do, is get people to interested in studying on their own and see, because that person behind that pulpit is just a person, just like me, a sinner, and no one's better than another. Now they spend their life preaching, and that may be the calling they have with God. Not everybody's called to be a preacher. There's people who are to work through churches and do things like elders, deacons, school teachers, Sunday school teachers, things like that, to teach, give you a basis. But to me, the church isn't a building. It's the body of Christ. A person may never step into a church building. Church building doesn't save you. It's the gospel, believing, witnessing, many things like that. So to give understanding where America is, we have to go back. The Bible is, as I explained, prophecy. Majority of it's prophetic. And the more, especially today, we live in it and see things happening so fast, we see things that are about to happen. And the main issue we have a lot of problems with Syria. People are complaining about being pulling out of Syria and how bad we are with Kurds. You know, people are upset about the Kurds, but they're not upset about, I mean, that's a pet peeve with me. They're not upset about the thousands of babies being aborted in this country. They're not upset about that, but they're upset about Kurds and protecting them. But they're not upset about people on our border building a wall. They say it's not needed. You know, they're not, you know, it's just selective. You know, saying that awful things are happening on the border, saying we're putting people in cages. It's just not true. If they want to lie, because media is mostly liberal. And to be honest, there's a spiritual fight for this country. And those that are liberal are ungodly. Their beliefs, abortion, different things like that. Remember, Sodom and Gomorrah was totally, utterly destroyed. A lot of times we think it was because of the sin of homosexuality, but there was many sins in Sodom and Gomorrah, and actually there was more than one city there that was destroyed. And I talk in another video about the cities that were named and destroyed there. And the sin really was tolerance. It was a liberal, believe it or not, it was a liberal culture, you might say, very liberal. And so, like I said, I'm not popular and people hate what I say, but call things for what they are and trust in God to give you strength to do so. Homosexuality was, of course, sodomites from sodomy. You get that from Sodom. But there was bestiality. There's all kinds of sins that were going on, just not sexual perversion. And the main difference I get out of it, more I study about it, is tolerance. People tolerated, as a society, tolerated the sins, like what's happening to America. We tolerate sins, and you'll be punished for it. But right now we're looking at things happening in Syria, and people talk about Turkey, Russia, and a lot of times, and you hear some things about the Ezekiel War. Actually, in the around churches and stuff, they are talking a lot about the Ezekiel War. And so I want to explain what Ezekiel War is about, and the reference in it people try to make for America. It's vague, but I'll explain more to that after I read it. So Ezekiel, starting chapter 38, verses 1 through 14. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I'll bring thee forth in all thy army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. And Gomer and all of his bands, the house of Togarmah and the north quarters. This is very important. A lot of times they talk about king of the north, they're thinking Russia. But if you go true north above, if you run a line right through Israel, it's actually Turkey. And that's very important. That's where in Revelation talks about your 7 churches. They were Asia Minor. They talk about the Asia Minor churches. They were right there lined around in Turkey. Jesus Christ said the seat of Satan, the throne of Satan, was in Turkey. So Turkey is very important. And they're naming countries all around Israel. And when they explain about the hook in the jaw, if you really understand things, the war machine countries are very dependent on oil. And what media hasn't shown that much lately. I've been keeping tabs for over 10 years through emails with a couple oil companies. I knew they were going to find oil in around Israel, and they have. They got the biggest oil reserve on the face of the earth right now is Israel, more than Saudi Arabia. Yet media doesn't talk about that. That's something you can research on your own and find that I speak the truth. Oil is a big thing in Israel, and they're looking at gases. And some say gold, but I don't know as much gold as in Israel compared to like Jordan, someplace like that. And all of his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself with all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. After many days shall be visited in latter years, meaning now latter years, that thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. That's the way Israel was. It was a wasteland. You got the Palestinians to say, hey, we have rights to it. They do not have rights at all. I don't care what they say. They don't have rights to the land of Israel. And for the Jews over there, it was just a waste. And go back and look and research. That's something I always talk about, facts. People, well, that's not true, this and this and that. You go back and research it. Don't go by what this person says. He might have a political agenda. Don't go by what this person says. They may not be true to God's word. Go look for yourself. Jesus Christ said, seek and find me. He will be known to you, but you have to look. What's your priority? Is it working a job? I love my family. Is it doing stuff with the family? Is it doing a hobby? A relationship? What's the priority in your life? You can have blessings of family and everything else. Priority is God. But is that your priority? I don't know. That's each individual person. That's up to you what your priority is. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. Thou and thy bands, many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord, I shall also come to pass. At the same time shall things come into my mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, out of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations that have gotten cattle and goods, and that dwell in the midst of the land. Now, right now, there's a wall around Israel, and there's gates. That's the reason why some believe, I didn't get into the details because I'd spend hours on this video. I believe it's, should have wrote it down in my notes, Psalm 38. Isaiah 17 talks about the destruction of Damascus in Syria. And that, I believe, we'll see very soon. It's almost, there's not much people living there, but it's going to be it's going to be nuked. Be blunt, the nuclear is going to happen because it's going to be there desolate for many years. People can't live there. But Psalm 83, not 30, I apologize, Psalm 83, talks about a war, and it talks about this. And a lot of people think it's Ezekiel 38, and I believe with some scholars, I agree, that it's a war that's going to happen right before. And then the following one will be Ezekiel 38. We're going to see a nuclear exchange. And I could be wrong about that part. That does not matter. But I'm thinking we'll see a nuclear exchange real soon with all the countries around Jerusalem. And then later, the rest of the countries are going to get together, Islamic countries, and go against, and this will be this Ezekiel 38 war. And they say Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish with all the young lions. This is where they talk about, because I named some of these before. I talked about some of these, the bands together, Gomer and his bands, Tamar, the North Quarters, and all those people. And then that's the surrounding area. And then they talk about Sheba and Dedan, and then the merchants of Tarshish being Europe, and the young lions meaning Spain, and they're linking it to America. I don't see that. I could be wrong on that. And the reason why I'll go right back to that. There shall I say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? And hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, thus saith the Lord, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it. So what they're saying is everybody's going to be, these young lions and the merchants of Tarshish are going to be saying, what are you doing while everybody's attacking Israel? They're not coming to Israel's defense. As of this point in our lives, America would come to Israel's defense. This is why I'm strong about, I don't think America is a superpower at the time of Ezekiel 38. I do not believe that. I believe that at that time we'll be a socialist country. That's what we're leading to. I'll explain more. Genesis 12, 1-3. Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless him that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. He is talking about Israel. The key to earth, everything on this planet is not America. We live in America, so we try to make like, well, it's all about America. It's not. God has used America in the long run to help Israel and to preach his word to the Gentiles. That's what America was used for. But in the end, something happens to America. America's not a superpower, or to the point we can't help Israel. And Israel's on their own. Daniel 2:31-35. Thou, O king, sawest and behold a great image. The great image whose brightness was excellent stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast, his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, the legs of iron, his feet part of an iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till a stone was cut out of them without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. The stone that smote the image became a great nation, and filled the whole earth. And I'll explain this after I read Daniel 7:3-14. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like a bear, and it raised itself up on one side, and had 3 ribs in the mouth between the teeth of it. And they said this unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the rock of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue from the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came upon among them another little horn, before whom they were 3 first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. A garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels a turning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. And I beheld that because of the voice, the great words which the horn spoke, I beheld even till the beast was slain, his body was destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with clouds of heaven, and came to an Ancient Days, and were brought before him. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, came into heaven. Sorry about that, I missed my spot. And came in Ancient Days, and brought him before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that shall not be destroyed. And I have notes here. The 4 beasts, the main empires that were passed was Babylon, Persian, Greece, and Rome. So what Daniel saw in his dreams here, in his visions, was the coming of the world system, basic roundabout way. The coming of the world system. When it talked about the 10 horns, it was like confederation leading of the system. We go to today the UN, the United Nations, talk about that, where it's controlling the world. This Antichrist comes up and rises in the UN, or takes control of the UN, one or the other. And through that, his system, Jesus Christ will come, which will be the battle of Armageddon they talk about, where he will destroy them, just speaking. And then he will minister everybody. And he will be given, and it talks about the judgment made by God at that point, where the books were open. These books being open are the books where the body of Christ are in. Those are saved. If your name's in the book, you're saved. If not, you're going to hell. And then he's taken away for a short period, for a season and a time, meaning Satan's taken away for a while, and which is 1,000 years, millennium, and he's brought back. And you'll be given a chance to see sinful man again on earth one last time for the total judgment at the end. The reason for that is God wants you totally to be for him, give your life for him, and not have the flesh or give. We're weak. We make a choice. I made a choice to believe in God. I fail every day. I fail while I'm in the flesh. And it's frustrating sometimes because I get so mad at myself for being so weak. But this body is weak, it's flesh. And I'm thankful for God becoming man and dying on the cross and being that blood sacrifice for me. That nothing I could do is ever capable of being saved. But he took that sin for me. Now, I wanted to show for an example before I really start talking more about our country. I want to talk about since we talk about prophecies, this minister gave an interpretation of Revelation 13:11 through 18. And he's referring this to America. And in my notes, I have by Revelation 4, the church is raptured. So this has nothing to do with the church, about the 13th chapter. Like I said, the rapture's already happened. It's a chronological order. Yes, the 12th sign we had a couple years ago, the 12th sign in Revelation, but that doesn't mess with the chronological time frame, because that sign was an end time sign, meaning that we were in the last few years. That could be 20 years or 30. I think there's a gap between the rapture of the church and Ezekiel 38 war. Maybe 20 years gap. Everybody thinks everything's going to go boom, 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 happen. I disagree. I think there's a space there. And time will tell. I'll be in heaven, so it won't matter. But Revelation 13:11 through 18. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of the man, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of the miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, what they shall make an image of the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes oft both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark of the name of the beast or number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. I look at this, and it talks to me about the false prophet helping the Antichrist, and the Antichrist being the man under the number 666. I believe this minister gives a false interpretation. The reason why I give this is to give an example, because he talks about the United States. He says, Revelation 13:11 pinpoints the rising of a great beast. He's going to refer that to being America, where I see that as talking about the Antichrist. In a prophecy, a beast represents a great nation. This nation starts out young, like a baby lamb. The nation comes out of the earth or wilderness area. The nation is lamb-like with Christian characteristics. This nation has horns with no crowns. It has no kings. This nation is sheep. I apologize. I have speech trouble. This nation achieves, made it, superpower status near the end of time. The nation influences the world's economy. The nation finally speaks like a dragon. The nation finally enforces the mark of the beast. So he thinks this is just talking about a nation because it references to a beast, meaning a nation. God is simple, not simple-minded, but to his body of Christ, it's simple. It's nothing complex. God lets his people know things. Jesus Christ, when he taught in parables. He made things, he simplified things. He did not make no intricate codes or coding or something. You know, I do agree that there is a Bible code. There's things in there that talks about Bible code, but if you ever do the Bible code, you realize we don't figure it out till after that's passed. Oh, a Bible code, and because that's authenticating the Bible. That's what that's for. Guys, now once you go in there and look at the Bible code to predict the future. That's not the reason for it. What it is to show you how 100% this. Now you'll look at things on TV like History Channel and they talk about Nostradamus. That's so fake. I've had an expert a while back talk about that. He says these are quatrains. They're general. They can fit any time frame and explain everything. But with prophecy in the Bible, it's 100% correct. People don't want to believe in the Bible, and they're not going to believe anything you show them. You can put it right in front of their face, they're not going to believe because they don't want to believe. They're not believers. And because of that, they won't go to heaven. It's shameful. It's a waste, but it's their choice. God didn't make you robots. He gave you a choice. He gave you free will because he wanted your love and wanted to take care of you and love you. And many people will not go to heaven because they love themselves more. They're so wrapped in the flesh that they don't care. They want everything their way. What was the first sin made by man? Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Why? Because they want to be godlike. They wanted to know what God knew. And it wasn't meant for us to know what God knew. There was no reason for it. And because of that, they gave up on everything. They had dominion over this earth and authority, and they lost it. I cannot be judgmental, for I'm not God. And like I said, I live in the flesh, I give into the flesh, and that's something that I disagree and pray to God daily about. So how can I chastise Adam and Eve when I've given in to many things in my life to sin? And who's to say I wouldn't have done the same thing? When I study to know God, not to, up myself like him. Hindu religion, different religions, Eastern religions will make you godlike. Oneness. That's why you got to be careful about some of the martial arts training. I've trained in a lot of martial arts through the years, and you have to be careful. I was young and ignorant. A lot of things you train in, it's not good because they try to say the warrior mind and oneness. It's not necessary. United States, America is not mentioned. I don't see it in the Bible. I've talked to some people that I think are really good ministers, and I'm not going by what, oh, you gave me the idea. I study myself. I agree with them because there's a lot of ministers I disagree with. The problem with Christianity in America is big money. It reminds me of when Jesus Christ walked into the temple. I saw all the money makers, and he took a whip, knocked over. He didn't say, you need to leave. He beat people, ran them off because they desecrated his temple. That's where America is right now. America is very sinful. Now we have some good people in this country, Christian people. There's a big movement in this country for God, and there's a big movement for Satan. We have a lot of people who say, well, and I believe God puts everybody. To give an understanding, God put Obama as president of the United States. Now God's put Trump as president of the United States. He can use good and bad people. And a lot of people will be like, well, he's a godsend. He's talking about Trump. He's just a man. He's a sinner like anybody else. But he is standing up, doing things that is needed at this point. The moving of the embassy to Jerusalem. He's done a lot for this country. He's bringing this country about. I think this is as I say, the calm before the storm. Things are about to happen in this nation. And it's going to get bad. The world economy, or that's what I'm going to put, the New World Order, then they say globalization, which is not a fancy word for a New World Order, that comes about, which is the system of Satan. It is a socialist communist system. Period. It's not a democracy. It's a promise of utopia. Everybody talks about free college. Why should you have free college? You need to earn what you got. Shouldn't have to pay for anybody else's college. I didn't have free college. And I'm not being upset because I didn't have free college. It's not a jealous thing. You need to earn for what you have. Some people are in positions other than people. Some people are able to have money easier than other people. It's good and bad. We struggle. I'm on a fixed income and we're hurting right now. Our natural finances, if I looked at my finances right now, I'd be like, well, I'm in a well and I'm falling deeper. But I know God will help us. And hopefully we don't make too much mistakes in trying to spend or do what we do with our money. But being on disability, fixed income, it's not easy. But we work with what we have and we continue on. America, there's a reason it's not mentioned. And I've talked to different people, and the main things I hear about America, about what they believe or understand, is we're about to see the rapture of the church. There's still, even though there's a lot of bad happening in this country, there's still a lot of leaders in position that are Christian, that if the rapture happened, they'd be gone. Key points in government. Even though I believe America has the evil, deep shadow government, deep state, that's not godly, without a doubt. But we're looking at the rapture. We're close to a civil war in this country, and that's a fact. Liberals and Democrats have gone total socialism, and they say they're not. They call it, I forget what the new name is, but it means socialism, communism, both. But they're progressive. Don't kid yourself, it's a lie. It's the same thing. And I don't mean to insult anyone who's a Democrat, who's voted Democrat. I come from more of a Democrat family than a Republican. Just everybody in my family now is pretty well gone Democrat. There's a few that aren't. I'm not saying a Republican's the way to be. No, because there's bad people that are Democrats and bad people are Republicans. So it's not a party that I follow. I follow God, but I see things that God would want, and I think He's used Trump to do a lot of things and put a lot of things to prepare us for things coming up, like the Psalm 83 war and Ezekiel 38 war, which I believe are two different wars. Like I said, I think there's Psalm 83 will happen, which roughly is the writer surrounding little nations will attack Israel. They'll lose. Then later, Ezekiel 38, because you see the lining of Russia, Turkey, and Iran. Those are the key main country players of Ezekiel 38 war. So, and like I said, I could be wrong. So I could be wrong in my. I'm willing to say I'm not quite sure yet on that, because I'm only 54 years old. I'm young, so there are things that I can be wrong about. But I'm looking at. I believe this combination could be civil unrest plus the rapture plus easily just a natural disaster. A few years ago we were talking about Yellowstone. That blows up, that take out half the United States. Who said that's not going to happen? A lot of people be like, "Oh God, Yellowstone's going to blow up. I'm going to blows up. Rapture don't happen before Yellowstone blows up, I'm going to heaven, so it don't matter. It's going to be quick and it's over. That can happen. God's in control. Anything can happen. I'm a combat veteran. I never had the fear of death. It always was dying. I've seen the body's flesh, so the body fight. The body does not want to die. And I've seen some people die horribly. Like I said, I got a cosmic bag from my cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I have degenerative disc disease. I have a lot of health issues. I've seen people suffer. And I've had painful things. I've had operations, different things, and dealt with chemotherapy. I've dealt with radiation, a few broken bones, a few other things in my health. And just the body just struggles. And life is a struggle. And I know where I go, after I move on. And this here is temporary. It's a fleet. Early man used to be hundreds of years old. Now we're just. I did have Nat pass away a little over a year ago. She was 103. But most people in my family die pretty young. So thank you for listening to my video. Try not to ramble too much. Train of thought. I always try to do these. It's late at night when I do these videos, so sometimes I'm pretty tired, but it's hard. We got a lot going on around the house, and it's hard with grandkids every day and everything, so it's hard to get that time to do a video. That's why I try to make my videos short. Plus, it takes me a while to write things down. So hopefully you'll take this in. Look at these verses. Do a study on your own start. There's more that you can look at and study. And just write something in the comments. If you find something, study, always reference or anything, let me know. Put in the comments below and let me know if there's anything where I'll study more, because I'll continue another video or something to keep it up. And I look forward to you watching another video. God bless you.